Welcome to the Newport City Show. Expect cracking conversations from the key decision makers and the good folk of our city. Only one common theme: they're all trying to do the right thing and the best that they can for us. Only one rule: it has to be about positive Newport.
Broadcasting in digital stereo, online, on your mobile phone and on your home devices.
Right here, right now.
Newport City Radio.
It's great to welcome back James Clarke, who is the Cabinet Member for Regeneration and Business Growth. That's a new title.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, changed a few months ago, Ian, yeah.
Yeah, so lovely to have you back. Thank you for coming in again. I've seen you all over the summer because it's been a very, very busy summer for everybody, isn't it? And a really enjoyable one, hopefully. We'll talk about that as we go through the next couple of minutes. So let's have a quick update, first of all, about the role. So democracy has gone over to Emma's side of the council?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Emma Corton's got that side now. And for myself, it's regeneration, obviously the whole of the city centre, but also Newport as a city, and business growth exactly the same. So it's really just complete focus on sort of developing the city, getting more companies involved, but also the sort of outskirts as well, sort of what companies can we talk to, who we're in discussions with, and as always our goal is to move the city forward.
And it's a great title, isn't it? Because that really, that's like a statement of intent: regeneration and business growth, because the two are hand in hand, really, aren't they?
Yeah, without a doubt, they have to go together. Without one, you haven't got the other, or if you have got one, you should have the other. So yeah, you know exactly what it says on the tin, and my portfolio, as I said, states that, and it's really sort of all guns ahead to move forward and move the city forward for the next time period.
And we've got two clear reasons why you're in for it to speak to us today. One, a little bit an update on placemaking, what it is and what's happened so far, what's the intention, and SPF, which is Share Prosperity Fund. Easy for me to say this morning. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before that, another quick update. I had a message off you, and you went, the podcast, where can I get hold of it? So the last time that you were on.
Absolutely.
So because your friend that you mentioned in the podcast, popped over to you. So let's pick that up as well.
Yeah, he did come across, and thanks to the link you sent me. He wasn't maybe too impressed in my memory of his music knowledge. But no, he's taken it back to Australia, and I know a few people in Melbourne, Australia have been listening to it as well.
See, Newport, South Wales, Newport, Wales.
Absolutely.
So there you go. I love that. That's brilliant. So let's first of all talk about placemaking. When you came in last, it was an idea on the table. It hadn't been signed off by the council as yet, by Cabinet. So quickly, just remind me what the intent is with that.
Well, placemaking is a plan for over a period of time, a period of years, to sort of improve the city centre of Newport. We went out to the public. So again, it's not mine. It's not the council's placemaking plan, it's the public's placemaking plan. And they came up with around about 60 good ideas. And what we've done as a council, and again, it's to make it non-political, because I think I may have stressed before, the placemaking plan is bigger than the council. It's about the city, and I could come and go, but we want to make sure this placemaking plan's in place for the next 10 to 15 years. What can we improve? Now, we understand there's some massive projects which need to be done, but also some quick wins to show we're serious about this plan. And what we also made a conscious decision, we made it cross-party, so every political party were involved in it. And I thought that was really key, because as I said, we didn't want this to be used as a political football, because actually the residents and stakeholders, etc., put these plans together so everyone could get involved and had their say. And then it did get signed off by the council maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and that's when sort of we've started to get the quick wins in place.
Because the big thing about it being non-political is it's great for us. So, but that's not the good bit. The good bit is, if you're talking about a 15-year time period, it's a long, long time. So anything can change in politics. We both know that. And by getting everybody around the table and just saying this is bigger than just politics, this is about Newport's immediate future, that seems to make sense. So with that in mind, what have you been able to, because again, 15 years, I'm sure everybody would want everything that was in that programme to happen now. So first of all, what are the key things that you could do quickly out of that?
Well, what we've done quickly, we've had the happy hoardings go up on the shop fronts in the city centre. We've had the bus stops, the music stops, which has gone down really, really well. We had the little park by the riverfront, which we put in place. So those are the quick wins. And obviously, we had other things going on during the summer regarding the SPF, so we couldn't get 5 or 6 things done. We've had 3 or 4 things which have been done, which can be recognised, but in the background, I've got officers working on this daily of what are going to be the next 3 or 4 things, which hopefully we can announce in the near future.
Let's talk the hoardings first. How easy is it to put up something pretty in front of an empty shop? So obviously the main goal is to get every shop in Newport full. Now, it's a nice goal, but it's not practical, is it? In the meantime, though, how easy is it? Because my understanding is that a lot of the properties in the Newport city centre especially aren't owned by Newport people.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I think there's this sort of view that Newport Council own most of the properties. We don't. So it's getting hold of the owners, the leasehold, not the leaseholders, the people who own the buildings, the freeholders, and having those conversations. But, in some cases, if we put them up and then we wait to hear the actual freeholder that they've seen them. But, it's not easy, but it's something which we have done and we'll be doing more.
Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference, doesn't it?
It does. It actually does. For such a simple idea, the effect is actually really positive.
Can we talk about the recent announcement? I meant to ask you about this before we came in. Upgrade with CCTV. Can we talk that? Is that placemaking or is that different to that?
No, that's a different funding. But again, that's listening to the businesses within the Newport city centre. And, it's something that I know Dimitri, the leader, has been very, very keen on. So we've invested $300,000. We're about to invest £300,000 in 21st century CCTV cameras, because I think if we're serious about a city centre, which we are, you need these things in place, and every city centre has them. We'll have state-of-the-art cameras, and they're there for the good. They're there for the good. So, we made that announcement maybe a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be pushing that forward as soon as possible.
Because I think the instant reaction to that is it's a lot of money, but probably for the technology these days, you never know. But it would be nice to have boots on the ground with the police and stuff like that. But correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Isn't it about having the tool to provide the evidence to help the police do their job? That seems to be, in my brain, logical. Or am I missing something?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think the first one is a deterrent. I think if people know these cameras are there, but it's also, as I said, I think I mentioned this a lot in council, but also I think on the last interview, it's all about a jigsaw. And this is one of the parts to make the police's job easier, but also to give the assurance to the residents who come into the city centre, or people outside Newport who come into the city centre, but also the businesses, that we're listening to you, we understand your issues, but we're going to do something about it, and that's what we're doing.
And that seems to me, from the last time that we spoke, had a chat to Dimitri before that as well, and it does feel that you guys have been on a mass listening exercise and checking in. I've seen a lot of people from around the council out and about talking and listening, which is just phenomenal.
It's our role, and how do we know what's going on in the city centre, just say for my portfolio, but I know also the cabinet members with other portfolios have been doing exactly the same. How do we know unless we speak to the people involved? So we have gone around businesses, we have spoken to residents. We'll continue that. We're building our relationship with the police. But what we needed to show, or what we're trying to do, is show the Newportonians and, as said, the businesses, that we are a listening council, which we always have been, but also not only listening, we'll put things in place now as well. And that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, because it's difficult, isn't it? You can listen as much as you want to, and that's got to be the first big step. But it's then having the funds to be able to do that. And that's been in short supply over recent years and decades, isn't it? And now it seems that there's a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah, it does help. Obviously, it does help. But I think and you're right, that you can listen as much as you want, but you have to do something. But I think by the businesses, the residents, the stakeholders within Newport, seeing that the council are willing to do something, it gives them confidence that they can move things forward themselves and have confidence in the council, rather than thinking, well, are they going to do something or not? Well, we're proving we are doing something, we are spending the money. So it gives them confidence to do the same.
Yeah, it seems to me like the word you used last time, you've just mentioned it here, jigsaw. That's exactly what kind of happened this summer, from someone who sits here every morning between 8 and 11, and part of the show is Big News, where we talk about the great things that happen across the city. Well, we're going to dovetail probably into SPF funding a little bit, which is great, because that's where I want to go. But just through partnership working, the jigsaw effect, and that little bit of funding, I think at one point we had in the city centre, we had Pride in the Port on the way. Just ahead of that, the Urban Beach was just finishing, which was a Newport bid initiative backed by you guys. We also had, we started off with the music trail back then, didn't it? So you got the Urban Beach, you've got the park and play area stuff. That's got to be it. That's got to be the blueprint for the future, for at least Newport City Centre, isn't it? Where a lot of people are coming together. Some people are able to bring it and finance it themselves and make it a better place. We spoke before on air about, before we came to air, about Kingsway just seems to be flying at the moment. There's lots of independent retails in there. And this is it, isn't it? It's about everybody all bringing their A game to it. And it looks really, really impressive.
Yeah, you're right. So I work backwards on it. It's like the Kingsway. The Kingsway hasn't happened overnight. When Niall purchased a Kingsway, he came to us, and it's about, again, goes back to our relationships. And I had numerous meetings with Niall. Sometimes he's the first person who texts me in the morning. He's the last person who texts me at night, which I may have mentioned before. But it's about that relationship, how we can help each other. And I don't believe for maybe 10, 12 years, the Kingsway has been so busy. It's got over 90% shops filled now. Now, that actually has a knock-on effect. And the events, what you're talking about, which you've had during the summer and the ones that are coming up, they're hugely important as well for footfall and getting people into Newport. But the Kingsway will work with the events team as Friars do, as the market does, etc., etc. And obviously you've got BID, which sort of oversees this with ourselves, and then we've got your input, your positivity here at Newport Radio, and it all gels together like that jigsaw, and it gives that. City centres are changing. I've mentioned this before. But where we're good at, which we've proved good at the last 18 months, is having the experiences and the events to come to, which then improves the footfall, which then gets more people in the city centre, more spending the money, etc., etc. And we'll continue to do that. We believe it's the right track, and it has bucked the national trend of footfall in city centres.
And this, it was starting to happen just ahead of, I think, Christmas time into January. I think the city centre was pretty much up, wasn't it? And people still aren't believing it. It's like, here are the figures, and it's almost really difficult to get across that line. And I get, there's no perfect situation. We all know that as any city centre and as any place, we've got our challenges, but you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? And it just felt that there was and we've got to include, obviously, the open-air cinema idea into that, off the back of the Newport Centre site. We've just got to look at it and just say, at that moment in time, how can you say there's nothing going on in Newport? I sit here every morning and I can prove it. But how do you get the message out there? How do you...
Well, you just keep going, don't you? Yeah. Because you believe in what you're doing is right. And, as I said, say with the events, I'll go past from one location to another location on a Saturday and I'll see the queues going into the car parks. When you sort of say about the pop-up cinema we had, I've got social media queues literally queuing around the corner to go in there. That sold out in hours. Now, that when we talk about communities, that was an idea I think I discussed with you a couple of times. Did you think it was a good idea? Was there something there and you were really positive about it? We as a council are looking into it, but we haven't got the connections. And I was in a meeting with the Dragons about something else. And John Raymond over the Dragon goes, I know a pop-up cinema company which may be able to help you. So time was running out. We then got the officers involved. It then happened. It was a great success. But it was, believe it or not, and I'm the least creative person in the world, but it was an idea I had because we got this empty space. So again, saw the empty space, spoke to people like yourself who knows that world, the creative world. Spoke to Councillor Corton, who again is spot on these things. I happened to speak to the Dragons, they knew someone, and it all just fell into place. Now, that would be easy not to happen, but the drive we've got is I was determined that would happen this summer. And then what that opens up is, what else can we do? What else? We've only got that space for a certain period of time, but what else can we do? Because we've seen it as a success. And that's just one of many examples.
So let's go into SPF in a little bit. So Shared Prosperity Fund, we'll talk a little bit, just recap very quickly on what that is in a second. Full disclosure, so Newport City Radio has directly got funds from SPF to help us with the Positive Newport project that we're rolling out, literally. We're sat here on a Monday afternoon, early afternoon. We're going to dry launch it tonight. Really excited by that. And we've been involved with, I'm more than involved, I help run Maindy Festival. Also, we've had the summer sessions. We've been involved with PillCam. Carnival. Sadly, Rogerstone, the weather got to us on that one. So that's just 5 things that Newport City Radio are either involved with or benefiting from. So, I'm just throwing that out there as a kind of like thing so it's clearly on the record. In terms of SPF, very quickly remind me what that whole funding, where's it coming from, and what's the council's involvement with it?
Okay, so it's the Shared Prosperity Fund. It comes from UK government, and obviously we've got a strong relationship with UK government, and every council gets it, and you put it into communities, things to help antisocial behaviour, development, and sort of growth for a community. So the money is there, but it has to be spent in a financial year. So what we've done, we've done it in 2 stages as a council. And the first stage opened when about 2 months ago, and it was open for about a month, or maybe 3 months ago, open for about a month, and anyone can apply. And then a load of applications come in. You have to go through them. There's a SPF committee which sit down and go through each application. Well, actually, there's an online application procedure that goes through. You go through that process. It then if it passes that process, it goes in front of an SPF committee, and then eventually it will end up on myself and Dimitri's desk, and we'll sign it off. So we're the only 2 people in Newport who actually can sign off SPF funding. But it's something which is hugely important to myself, and I know it's to Dimitri as well, and also to Newport. So I keep an eye on it all the way through the whole process. I see what's going on. I speak to communities when I go and see them, community groups, and say, look, this is around, this is for SPF. I just happened to be in the gym on Saturday morning, and I'd done a quick cardio workout, and I was in the jacuzzi, and lo and behold, I was talking to someone about the SPF in the jacuzzi in the gym. So we
never stops.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So we speak about it. Who had been in a meeting with Dimitri the day before. It's getting that message out there, but for us, it's community money. It's the community's money. How can it be best spent for the people of Newport? And that's sort of what it's about. And then sort of, I can tell you later how we spread the money.
Yeah, so how do you assess that? Because it's difficult. Obviously, I've spoken to you quite a few times, with my Maindy Festival hat on, with my Pat Rogerstone hat on, with my Newport City Radio hat fully on. And it just seems like I say to you, but this is really important, James. And I know it was oversubscribed. So how do you manage that process? Because there's no guarantees. You could give it to an organisation and they could have the best intentions, but the money doesn't really get to do what it's supposed to do. So, and then there's other people which sadly won't get the money because you're having to make decisions. How do you make those decisions?
Well, you do. You literally have to go through them one by one. See the pluses and minuses. If I'm really being honest, if it was some companies outside Newport apply for it, and they would struggle to get it because their own councils should be able to sort of supply them the money, or at least they should be able to apply for it through their own councils. So you really just go through it and see how it affects the community, how broad it is, maybe how diverse it is, how, you don't want to give it to all the same sort of idea. You sort of have sort of that sort of template, sort of spreading it around. You don't want to give it to 50 clubs which do all exactly the same things. You want to make sure the smaller community clubs, the smaller community involvement are heard, and where maybe a £10,000 investment to one person to give that smaller group £1,000 will make all the difference their year. So you have to take that all in consideration. And also in some cases, which we've had done, is visit these community groups and see where the money's going to go to, and see how it can help you. So it's important sometimes, and we're really keen on this, it just wasn't an application form. When we visited these community groups, we could see what it was rather than just seeing 2 paragraphs on an application form.
Well, I can testify to that because we went over to the Con Exchange to talk about the 2026 music trail, which is just phenomenal. I think that was probably about August time, if not before that one. And I saw you outside the Con Exchange. I went, I'm going to the same meeting as you, Rogerstone. And there you were, Rogerstone, just assessing, asking questions about what the intention is, what's it really going to do. And then you were able to turn around and say, yeah, well, that sounds pretty much what we want to be involved with and supporting. And that was great. And then the next week, we're at Maindy Primary School. for you to see what Maindy Festival does with the primary school kids, to have just a small bit of Maindy Festival. And again, I spoke to you off air about this as chair of Maindy Festival. The event itself, which needs funding, but the event itself, for the first time in a long, long while, always feels important, Maindy Festival, because it brings such a diverse amount of people together for one amazing afternoon. And that's the downside, is one afternoon. But it's not. It's the whole build-up to it. And more than ever, it was just needed. And I kind of think I hinted to you at the time. I think I said to you that it's different this year. If ever there was a need for it, the need is now. And I hope it's turned out to be true. But yeah, that's what I took away from that. I saw you out there engaging and talking, taking members of Newport City Council, the officers out to talk to people. And that seems really sensible. So when you're out there talking to groups like Maindy Festival and Pill Carnival and Newport City Radio as one, any standout groups in your mind where you just walked in and you just went, oh, wow?
Yeah, well, first of all, your earlier statement, I'm sure it's positive, but it was hinting slightly that I was stalking you during the summer.
No, I just suggested that we shared a car. Environment forefront of my thinking.
Every group I visited, and I would encourage every councillor to do this, is go and see their community groups. Every group have got their story. The Maindy Festival, the Pill Festival, they're established. So sort of, if money is an obstacle and we can help, we're never sure what's going to happen with SPF from year to year, but it's also about the moment. So any festival, any community, that's what it's there for. But also the smaller groups. I met Laura from Newport West netball team, and I went down there. They play out of John Frost's school, and they really asked for quite a small amount in the scheme of things. And when I went down there, they didn't have a pump to pump up the balls, and to see their faces of when we said, yes, you can have it, was worth it. And because it's good for sport, good for girls, but any visit I took place was there was sort of satisfaction from my side to see what individuals and groups are doing in their communities. And I think sometimes there's this, our community still out there. My God, in Newport they are. My God, they're in Newport.
And they're really strong as well.
Yeah. And
again, that has another influence. I spoke about this about the music trail in particular, being manna from heaven, the summer sessions being manna from heaven for Newport City Radio, because we get to talk about some brilliant things to announce it, the build up to it. Same with Food Festival. I've announced the main stage lineup today on this morning's Breakfast Shake Up. As we get close to Food Festival now, I'll be playing musicians who are playing on that stage, local musicians. Absolutely. Who are playing on that stage. That's brilliant for us. And you introduced us to Laura as well from the netball team. And for me, that's how it should work. That's exactly how the partnership is meant to be.
It is. It really is. But it gives those people who they run their group, the Lauras of the world and groups she's with, they get the team together, they run out. It's good for mental health. It's good for sports. They do the fixtures list, etc. They do all that. But where's the money coming from? It's in my view, the unsung heroes of Newport who do these things for the greater good. And if we can help them just a little bit, point them in the right direction. And you mentioned the Food Festival, that's come from SPF as well. And obviously I've put money towards that to the Food Festival. And it'll bring in thousands and thousands of people over that weekend. And I'll get a huge enjoyment just sitting back watching that, knowing I sort of had an involvement in it. But the enjoyment was just as much as meeting Laura, just as much as going to see Mike and Dave, the brothers who run a Newport Cricket Club. They run it for 20, 30 years on their own, giving them funding. And I'm sure they won't mind me saying it, getting slightly emotional when myself and Dimitri visited them and said, yeah, it's been granted. Norman Purcell at County in the Community, I'm going to visit him and sort of the great job he's doing. And even in my own ward in Malpas, when I visited Newport Chess Club, to this day, I think they thought he's only coming up here to tick the box. But actually then to give them some money to help with the Newport Chess Congress they had in Newport this year. These are the unsung heroes in Newport in my eyes.
Yeah, and it just, certainly that point, it makes a massive, massive difference. So let's talk about the next tranche of SPF funding. It's coming out very soon. What advice can you give for groups that are looking to get into position that the ones that we mentioned have?
Yeah, I think it's really, really important. So the second, as I said, I mentioned, there was two phases to it, and this is the second stage, which is opening. It's open for a 3-week period from the 22nd, and because a lot of groups applied in the first part of SPF, we're limiting the amount people can apply for. It's up to £10,000, and it's got a 3-week window. But the key is, and this is where it gets harder really for the groups, it has to be spent by the 31st of March next year. If not, it goes back, and I don't want it to go back. I want it all to be spent. But again, it's also for groups who maybe haven't applied for it before or just missed out on the first phase. So so other groups get the money, and then we'll assess it in 3 weeks' time. It will take probably another 3 or 4 weeks for everything to filter through, and then it will come in front of myself and Dimitri again, and we'll sign it off. But it's sort of, it's more sort of here we go, which I'll be quite honest, puts pressure on my officers in the council, because I've got hundreds of things happening there at the moment, and it's added pressure. But when you know it's for the good, it sort of makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? There's just so much good that could come out of this, and I know you're really keen to make sure that it does. But then obviously there's people that you have to say, sorry, on this occasion we can't do it, and that's got to be difficult.
It is difficult. It is difficult, but sort of, again, we're a listening council. Come back, let's have a conversation. Let's see what we can do. How can we help you? And I think also sort of a point I need to make is sort of money going to these groups is hugely important. But there's also things which you can't spend with money. So something like Cullean Rugby Club, myself and Dimitri and the local councillors went down there on Saturday because they had some SPF funding, and it was about disability access and disability toilets. But when we went down there, and when I visit all these groups, it's just the start of our journey with you. What else can we do with you? Yeah. Say Laura, go back to her to netball. Give us your fixtures. We'll come down. Watch some games. We'll get you some PR. Hear her say theatre group. When would they put their production together? We'll come down. What else can we help you? Let's give you an officer. Talk to an officer. What else is out there? Because also what we want to do, as I said, we're not sure if it'll be here next year. You don't know until the UK budgets come out. But also now that we've got a dedicated cabinet member for sports and a dedicated cabinet member for communities, we want to introduce them to these groups and have that relationship with them, so we can move things forward. We can be their voice if necessary. So that's another part of the SPF funding.
And we'd love to speak to them as well. So anyone you got out there that would like to come in and have a little chat to us, we're definitely for that as part of our commitment to our SPF funding. So that's got to be done. Let's look forward then to the next couple of months. And I've made a list, not literally in front of me, but ready for the brand new season, as we call it, of Newport City Radio. So catch me breath for a minute. Food Festival.
SPF.
Add SPF to everything, is it? So Food Festival, then into the countdown to Christmas.
SPF.
Small Business Saturday. I always look for an exclusive. I don't think it's going to be a complete exclusive, but I always test the water first. I'll give you one first. So we're teaming up with Betty's in Bloom again. Brilliant. For the Toys for Family appeal, which is just phenomenal. We got some, luckily the BBC came out and did a chat to the group, and also ITV came out as well. And this was 2 years ago. Sadly, the team couldn't do it last year, but it's back for 2025. We're very excited. This is where you're having a bit of a clean-up in your house prior to Christmas. You've got toys which are still in good nick, but your kids have grown out of them, because it happens, doesn't it? And we're proud to say that's back. So that's out a little bit of news. Can you give me anything on Winter Wonderland?
It was a success last year, even with the bad weather. So why wouldn't we do it again? Of course we're going to do it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And
of course, without a doubt. Without a doubt, we've got that space. Let's use it. We're in talks at the moment. We're looking at the licensing, looking at the contracts. But yeah, unless something goes absolutely left field, more to do with weather-wise or anything in the world, it'll be happening.
So the intention's there, which is all we can really ask for.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I know we're in talks. I know the team have just come off. We part-funded the Tour of Britain, which came out in Newport, which is a huge success. And I was lucky enough to go to the event on the Sunday. I just flown in. I think the Pride was on the Saturday, which was SPF money, and then Tour of Britain I think was on the Sunday. Hugely successful. Just a team have just sort of finished that and getting that together, and now they're looking at the Christmas events. But yeah, they'll be happening, if not more.
Yeah, it's always felt like once you go past summer, it tends to go. The weather is the big factor, isn't it? But it tends to go really quiet. Don't think it's going to go quiet all the way until January with all those lists of events. So it's really exciting times. We spent a lot of time today talking about placemaking and SPF. Can you come back again? And can we talk more about your main portfolio? So the regeneration and business growth. Can we do that?
Yeah, I think that'd be really, really good because, as I said, sort of, the SPF happens to be in my portfolio, but the bigger picture, the bigger projects is regeneration, and we've got some good news stories about that. And I think sort of, if you give me maybe sort of after Christmas,
yeah, definitely,
there'll probably be more announcements which would have come out, which I'll be able to speak about a lot more after Christmas.
Okay, that's the deal. As long as you keep bringing in cake, which you always do, which is really nice of you.
Absolutely, every time, Ian, no worries.
And the bizarre thing is, we're recording this on the 22nd of September. You are going to be the first person I can say Happy Christmas to.
Quite sad to say that, but happy Christmas to yourself as well, Ian.
It's too early. Stop. We've got food festival, all the stuff that we mentioned.
Yeah, I can't even think of Christmas at the moment with all the events going on.
Oh, that's crazy. Again, thank you for coming in. Really, really appreciate your time. Thank you, mate.
Thanks for the invite, Ian. Thanks, and also thanks for everything you do as well.
We're enjoying it.